G'day everyone, I'm Jaimunji, that man is Drew, and you're listening to Metal Roos. Hello everyone and welcome. This is a brand new series where myself, Jai, better known as Jaimunji, sits down with my good friend Drew. Say hi to the people, mate.
Hello, everybody.
And what we'll do is a variety of different topics, but we're not going to spoil all that now. The band doesn't tell you the encore at the beginning of the set. You've got to wait. You've got to cheer for it. But today we're talking about something that is kind of been on everyone's tongues, the GoodThings Festival 2023 lineup. There's a bit of a hit and miss. Some people actually think this is the best lineup ever. Some people think it's absolute garbage. And Drew, I kind of want to hear your opinion.
It's one of those real hot topics at the moment, isn't it? It's just like so many people, I think, coming off the back of COVID and everything like that. Good Things 2022 was great because everybody was like, oh, back to a festival. It was actually my first festival. And you had such a great lineup of bands like Ginger, Gojira, Bring Me the Horizon, Polaris, like so many great metal bands that were there that I had a great time at my first festival. And then this year, this lineup to me was just kind of underwhelming, to be honest. It just nothing really enticed me. Like Devo is cool. That's really cool. I never would have expected to see Devo, but other than that, it feels like the lineup's fallen flat for a lot of people. But I know you have a very different opinion to me.
I do have an opinion. There was two bands you didn't even mention, one of which is blown up all around the world. Electric Callboy. What a bargain Good Things must have got. They played at like 2:10 p.m. They're now like co-headlining festivals. They're playing at the Hordern Pavilion in Sydney. Now, I don't know about the rest of the venues around Australia, but that place holds 5.6 thousand people. The fact that they've blown up that quickly, that is mega. That is absolutely mega. And
it's very well deserved. They really get the name Electric. Like they deserve that name because they just come out and put on this amazing show. I think when I was there, they were one of the bigger crowds of the day. I don't think I really saw a bigger crowd until you got to like Deftones and Bring Me later in the night. It was absolutely fantastic show. I know you caught the side show of theirs as well. And just all round great band. And I just don't see anything on this lineup where I feel like the same thing maybe slaughtered to prevail, but deathcore is kind of that real niche genre as well, where you don't have doesn't have the broader appeal that somebody like an Electric Callboy does.
No, and you're not wrong in saying that as well. But I guess at the time, no one knew how big Electric Callboy were going to blow up to be. It's kind of like when Knotfest got away with having Bad Omens be the second band on of the day.
Oh, yeah.
If they were to redo that now, they'd be much higher in the list. It's just one of those things where I think people are getting a little bit confused. And you also forgot to mention a weird band like Sabaton playing, another bargain, a band that played at 2 p.m. in Australia, headlines festivals all over Europe, just sold out shows, my apologies, in America. But I can understand where it comes from. People are looking at this lineup. After last year, you had a very strong metal presence. Bring Me the Horizon, I know your opinion on if they're a metal or not doesn't matter at this time. They scream. They're not mainstream. Gojira, metal titans. Deftones, new metal titans. Sabaton for your power metal. You've got all those bands in there. So I can understand where it comes from. But, and I think a lot of people forget this, and maybe Drew, yourself may have forgotten this. Good Things has never really been a metal festival. It's been almost a pop punk festival sprinkled on top with metal. That's where I think people are getting a little bit lost because people were so excited because last year hit a lot of niches. Gojira ticks a lot of boxes. Bring Me the Horizon is the big mainstream metal band going around at the moment. I can't think of many that are bigger than that. Sabaton hits all the niche power metal European boxes. They had Lacuna Coil as well, and Soulfly. And
yes, I completely forgot about Lacuna Coil and Soulfly. So you're right, it did really hit that, and I think that's probably part of my unfamiliarity with some of the other events of the festival. Really, we've had 4 good things so far, I believe. Like they were 2018, 2019. And then of course COVID happened, and then festivals came back. So I think exactly. So I guess it's one of those things where when you see such a metal heavy lineup coming out of something like COVID, and then seeing something like this. I think that's probably where a lot of the disappointment came from me. But why don't we actually go ahead and break down like some of the previous lineups?
Yeah, well, let's go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, we've talked about this lineup. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Now, this is probably not going to be fair because this is when the festival first started. No one comes out 100% and at least makes money and runs a festival the next year. But 2018, I believe, was the first. There's going to be egg on my face if there was one in 17, but I don't believe there was. But we haven't looked at these posters yet. We're going back. I have vague memories. Now, The Offspring.
First of all, wait. Did you actually go to any of the Good Things festivals prior to this one, or was 2022 your first one?
2022 was my first. 2019 I wanted to go to, but I was flying out to America 2 weeks later for my honeymoon. So unfortunately, it wasn't in the budget. I do remember there being some good bands on that one, and we'll visit that in a sec. Because I do know trivia.
Let's start with 2018.
Yeah, let's start 2018. So let's kind of look up the top and slowly go down. Now, The Offspring. I think The Offspring, whenever a new festival starts in Australia, The Offspring have to be the headliner. I believe even Soundwave, Offspring was the headliner. They're just kind of that band. They tick a lot of boxes. No one really says they hate The Offspring. So it makes sense. They're not a huge band anymore. They're not headlining any big new festivals. If they came back down for Good Things, probably be third on the bill. They wouldn't be up that high. But this falls in the thing, not a metal headliner. We're getting more on, they're a bit more on the punk side, but they're very poppy at the same time. You can't.
Yeah, they really do sort of hit that pop punk niche. I guess a more mainstream pop punk niche in a lot of ways because everybody knows who The Offspring is. But it's not really that. Yeah, again, it's not metal. Sure, they have guitars, but it's not metal.
That's it. And it's kind of like, this is where a lot of people are going, oh, why are Fall Out Boy playing? Well, Fall Out Boy are a newer pop punk band, but there's not really any bigger pop punk bands than Fall Out Boy. And trust me, even if you're a metalhead, me in my mid-30s, I can't hear Thanks for the Memories without rocking out in the club. If I've got a couple of beers in me, I don't know, that punk kid that I never knew existed dances around like an idiot. And I know I said punk, but I meant pop punk. It's just one of those things where, I don't know, everyone, it's very easy to sing along to. There's a reason they're so popular. I didn't think it was a surprise for them to play Good Things at all. But then we moved down, you got Stone Sour. Drew, I think this is an actual interesting choice. Now, you obviously know Stone Sour is fronted by Corey Taylor.
Yes.
Corey Taylor's playing Good Things this year.
Yeah, that's true. Stone Sour, of course, is, I think, one of the, if you look at, like, definitely comparing it to Slipknot, the main band from Corey Taylor, it is a lot more of a softer version of it, still quite heavy. But it doesn't really, still definitely hits those metal notes. I think that's like the first, given that they're second on the bill, that's very much a metal act on the second bill.
Yeah, definitely. And Corey Taylor does have a lot more rock influences in his live shows, but he plays like 4-5 Stone Sour songs live. He plays a couple of Slipknot songs live, like Before I Forget, Wait and Lead, Duality. So you are getting that there with Corey playing. So it's not too foreign. I don't think too many people are complaining that Corey's playing. I think that is a highlight for
Corey is one of the ones that I would rather actually go see. Like, that was the first sort of piece of the lineup where I'm like, oh, Corey Taylor's playing. That's great.
And that's it.
His second time in Australia this year too, because he was down for Knotfest too.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a busy man. He's got to be one of the busiest men in music. But another one here is because we've got a couple of posters to go through, we won't go too long. All Time Low, not too familiar with Dropkick Murphys, classic rock folk band. There's no one playing any of the Good Things slots this year that sound like them, so very unique. Bullet for My Valentine is playing Good Things this year. There you go. The Used.
We have to talk about Bullet here, though.
Okay, let's go.
Let's talk about Bullet.
Yeah.
Let's go. Nice piece. The tears are definitely falling because they aren't what they once were. I know their new stuff is really good, but I feel burnt from like that entire middle period of their career. Like, Bullet were one of the bands that really got me into metal. And then they just kind of shut the bed after that, in my opinion, at least. Like, those albums were not great.
And do you know when they shut the bed? Around 2018 when they played Good Things. That's why they're so low on this poster.
Interesting. So in some ways, we've got a bit of a redemption arc going because their new material, like if you listen to the song, I believe it's Knives, is fantastic. Absolutely brilliant song. Like something I didn't expect to come out of Bullet these days. So maybe this is their redemption arc. And I guess there is a part of me that wants to go there and see how they would actually do, because they'd have, again, redemption in their mind.
Bullet for My Valentine are one of those bands. It's like they feel like an ex-girlfriend to me, and I adored them during my younger years, and I didn't realize how abusive they were to me. And then we broke up, and you could see them with other people, and they were trash. And now I've seen them years later. I'm like, oh God, they're hot again. Like that's
They've
the
had their
weird
glow
thing.
up.
Yeah, they've grown up, and I'm like, oh, don't make me fall in love. I've already made that mistake. So that is Bullet for My Valentine for me. And then you got your niche Japanese band, Baby Metal, which, when we get back to it, coincides with someone that's playing this year.
They have blown up massively as well. Baby Metal in 2018, I think, were definitely more of that niche, even though they had pretty high billing on the card here. But to compare to how they are now, like having songs with virtually everybody now,
yeah,
it's like, didn't they just do a song with Tom Morello from Rage?
Yeah, they did. They did.
Yeah.
It was actually a real bop, a lot of fun. Baby Metal are one of those weird ones where people are like, oh, you like Baby Metal? Yeah, they're a guilty pleasure. Don't get me wrong. They're just fun to listen to. They're so different. It's fun to listen to different things every now and then.
It's the musical equivalent of just getting like a bag of snakes or a killer python or something and just biting into it. That's what it is to me.
I
just
thought
like
you meant real snakes or a real killer python. I was like,
no. I know we're Australian, but we don't just walk around. Not Steve Owen in it here.
And then you look at the undercard. Don't get me wrong, bands like Northlane and your Void of Vision have blown up. Make Them Suffer, who is playing this year, they've blown up. So we can move on to that. That is actually a good festival for a first festival.
That's a lineup that I would have gone to. That was a lineup I think that had enough. Like, there's enough of an interest in the Offspring there for me, and they're performing Smash in full, according to this poster as well, that it would have been great. The undercard's great. There's enough niche acts. I think 2018, for a debut lineup of Good Things, was a pretty great lineup.
Hey, you. Are you enjoying this video so far? If you are, hit that subscribe button down below so you always get notified when Metal Roos have new videos out. And don't forget to comment. This is an open discussion. We want to hear your opinions. Is it a thumbs up for you or a thumbs down? Let us know. We want to talk.
Let's move on now to 2019, and straight away at the top of the bill, Parkway Drive.
Yeah.
I was never a Parkway fan. Growing up, when you get into metal, you get into different genres, and Parkway was just one of those ones that never crossed my circle of interests. That was until I saw them live at Knotfest this year. Oh my God, what a fantastic, ungodly good live band are Parkway.
It's one of those things that I remember watching them in a PCYC in Lithgow, New South Wales, to 150 people back in the 2000s. To see them now headline tours, they headlined a day of Wacken. Like, how incredible is that? Their live show is something to behold. God strike me down if he may. I think they upstaged Slipknot at Knotfest. I know, blasphemy at their own festival, but Parkway, there was a certain magic, and the pyro show and the amount of money and dedication they put into making that look visually pleasing was just, it's just something different. It was just something else. I left that day going, wow, okay, I've got different opinions about Parkway Drive now.
Same.
Yeah,
exactly the same. I too, and I don't think this is an unpopular opinion either, that Parkway had such an amazing live show going into Knotfest that to me it did blow Slipknot out of the water a little bit.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot. Slipknot are an incredible live band, but then you got this is a card on Good Things that feels, just looking at it on the top bill, feels very driven towards one audience, because you got a day to remember. They're metal with a lot of pop punk influences. Violent Soho, I don't actually really know all that well, so I can't give an opinion. I know they're not a metal band. Yeah.
Punky.
Simple Plan, pop punk band that's borderline emo. I remember them through high school. Not my type of thing. Bad Religion, punk band. Trivium. Okay, we're going to stop here for a little bit. Trivium, absolutely one of my favorite bands of all time. This year, I saw them live for the 7th time. Massive Trivium fan. Massive Trivium fan.
Trivium were, again, one of the bands that really got me into metal. Like, as a guitarist, I remember sitting there playing Like Light to Flies over and over, just until my fingers bled. And they've always been a guilty pleasure of mine. But nowadays, I think it's even less of a guilty pleasure because they're making some damn good music. I mean, they put out 3 albums in the space of like 4 years that were back-to-back absolute bangers. So Trivium, always a guilty pleasure, always happy to see them. Good pick on the card.
Because Trivium went from one of those bands that people like to make fun of to people going, you know what, Matt Heafy and co, they're good guys. They make good music. Even people that don't like them anymore just go, yeah, not for me. They seem good though.
They went the opposite route that Bullet did, which is what I find, because they were around at the same time and kind of blew up at the same time, and Bullet decided, whereas Trivium went off.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'll just quickly go through this so we can move on. I don't know the next band at all. Awesome Creatures, Carnival, Australian pop.
Carnival, absolute gem of mine. Would do anything to see them again. Veronica's is a really interesting pick. That's one of those
trend. This set a trend because Veronica's were the first band I think Good Things put on where people went, that's so out of whack. We love the idea. And they must have sat back and gone, I can milk you. And we're going to get into that in the next one and the one after, because I remember the big pension on Veronica's was like during Untouched, Wall of Death. That will lead into the next poster, but we'll save that. Coheed and Cambria, they were huge back in the day, not as big now. Falling in Reverse now, okay. If they were to come down here, Falling in Reverse now would be up near Day to Remember. They've blown up.
100%. They have gone massive, and deservedly so. I think Ronnie is a fantastic musician.
He really is. Enter Shikari are playing this year, so that checks out. Dance Gavin Dance, Real Big Fish, they make sense. Thy Art Is Murder, much bigger now. Aussie deathcore. Ice Night Kills, much bigger now, makes sense. But all these bands, slowly, they're even playing this year, just on a much bigger slot. So it's not getting that strange when you go back and look. Yeah. So we might go
and you've also got Poppy there, which is like one of those sort of niche weird acts that I think feels the same thing that Baby Metal does, for example, like this year, Hanabi, I believe it is.
Yeah, they are.
It sort of fills that slot. So I see what you're getting at, where there's more consistency than at first glance.
Yeah, I think at first glance, a lot of people go, no, fuck you, you're wrong. This wasn't what I saw last year. I was like, yeah, but go back and look at everything, and then go back and look at everything they've done before. Maybe Gojira is your favorite band, like it is for my brother. And maybe you're not a huge fan of, I don't know, Behemoth. But Behemoth might be someone else's favorite band, and maybe they're not a huge fan of Sabaton. It kind of, they're these niche metal bands, but it is flavor. We all like different flavored things. That's why there's more than one flavor of ice cream.
Exactly.
But we'll move on to the next one. We've got here. Now, we're up to 2022, the one we've kind of all compared everything to. This was a fantastic lineup, but Good Things needed to make sure this was a hit.
They had to hit this out of the park. They had to hit a 6 right here.
Yeah.
And exactly. I think they really did with this lineup. We've spoken about it at length already. They're just so absolutely stacked.
Yeah, you got the mainstream band, Bring Me. Deftones have blown up on TikTok of being like, I wish I had a goth Deftones girlfriend. NoFX, that's just old school punk. They brought Tism back after all these years. That was a band, I knew their songs and I got to see them live. I never thought in a million years I'd see them live, but that kind of feels that weird thing. They're the weird exception. Like the Veronicas were, like Devo is this year, because it's now a gimmick and Good Things to just throw a band in there that doesn't make any fucking sense at all and just go, you'll enjoy it. And we'll go, yeah, we will. When a problem comes along, you must fucking whip it. The Amity Affliction, Gojira, One OK Rock, a Japanese band. Like I said, they're trying to get the Japanese bands in there. 0303 didn't play because they didn't like their spot. Electric Callboy, they blew up. Big Discount, Ginger, fantastic band from the Ukraine, heavy as hell. Lacuna Coil, they're kind of that old. If you were in school around 2005, 2007, and you wanted to be a little bit edgy, you like those guys? Because I like Evanescence. No, fuck you. I like Lacuna Coil. That's who Lacuna Coil were.
Lacuna Coil were like the disowning man's Evanescence at the time, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like you had it. I have a little more taste. I'll listen to some Lacuna Coil, thank you.
Yeah, it's like, And then you got some old heads like Soulflyer in there. You got some new people like Red Hook, Polaris, Sabaton, which to me, looking at this set list is even more out of place than 303 and Tism, because I didn't think Good Things would ever bring a war-themed power metal band down. Yeah, which I was extremely happy about. They were my favorite band of the day. But and now we'll go back, and now that we've gone through that little journey, let's go to Good Things now.
All right, let's do a good breakdown of this lineup, because obviously we still have this to come, and this video, if it blows up or there's lots of people watching it, this might influence your decision to actually go to Good Things.
Exactly.
I know I'm still looking for some influence if I want to go to Good Things or not, because I'm still torn. I know you very much want to go see Fall Out Boy.
I do.
I want you to sell me on Good Things.
Okay, let's look at this lineup. Fall Out Boy, they've been around for some time now. They're not that much older than us, most of the members, which is concerning. They're just one of those bands in pop punk that is strange, because a lot of pop punk bands have issues with getting cancelled. Now, Pete, yes, back in the day, did post a picture of himself in the full Monty on the internet, but that's about as bad as their history's gotten. The drummer's side project is hardcore death metal and black metal. These are just guys that get out there, know what they're doing, and they're just perfect at it. Like, there's no reason to kind of break the formula. Some of their songs do actually have screaming in it. Pete, the bass player, does scream. Not saying that's going to sell you on it, but they are a fantastic live act. They've been doing it for years. It's not everyone's taste, but it makes a lot of sense to be the headliner. But here's a band we haven't talked about at all yet, and I did that on purpose. Limp Bizkit. What's your opinion on Limp Bizkit before I say anything?
They're one of those bands, I think, that you either love or you hate. Having grown up as a wrestling fan, Rolling will ever be entrenched in my mind as The Undertaker rolling out like the absolute badass he is on that bike down to the ring, and that's forever there. Look, I don't mind listening to Limp Bizkit. They're not the kind of band that I go, okay, I'm going to actually sit down and listen to an entire Limp Bizkit album. But there is some appeal to going and watching Fred Durst's slow or maybe rapid ascent into becoming this like Santa figure. I've seen pictures of him recently, and it's not the Fred Durst I remember.
No, that Fred Durst is long gone. We've embraced Daddy Durst, and I'm all for Daddy Durst now. And when you said, I don't listen to Limp Bizkit at home that often, they do come on my shuffle every now and then. But if I go to a dive bar and I've got a few beers and Break Stuff comes on, or My Generation, or their cover of Faith, there is no way I'm not rocking out to that. And it's the same thing live. It's just, you go there, they play the greatest hits. You remember I was young once, and you just get into it. Limp Bizkit kind of fill this slot. If you want another new metal band in there, a lot of people are going, why don't you get Korn? I was like, well, you could go, why don't you get Limp Bizkit? You know, it's one of those things of, yeah, Korn's the new metal band. Limp Bizkit were more rap metal. They could have put Kid Rock there. So you're lucky it's Limp Bizkit.
And Farewell Tour as well. That's definitely got to count for something. This is possibly the last time people are going to see Devo play live.
Exactly. And could you imagine people, and I'm going to skip into the set list and we'll come back up here. Could you imagine people that are going there just to see Devo and they accidentally walk over and see Behemoth or Slaughter to Prevail? I want to be there for that moment.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a shock to the system.
If you get up there and you're seeing Oh Satan, Oh Father, Oh Son played live, I'm pretty sure I got those words in order. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you did.
Or you go over and Alex Terrible has thrown down the mic. And they're sitting there going, but when does Whipper play? I kind of just want to be there to see that, to be honest with you.
That's fair.
Yeah. It just makes a day. How many times are you going to say in your life, oh, so what were your favorite songs at the festival? Well, I really liked Demolition by Salute to Prevail. Bullet for My Valentine playing Tears Don't Fall was good. I also heard Whip It and Rolling by Limp Bizkit. And Thanks for the Memories by Fall Out Boy. And you'd be like, what the hell? Did you just have an acid trip and sit in the corner and look at a wall and imagine all that?
It's an absolute smorgasbord of stuff. You won't really get this from this kind of versatility from other festivals, I guess.
No, exactly. And it's one of those things. It's like, on paper, is it commercial? Yes. But was on paper everything that's a good word. Was everything else commercial? Yes, this was never an underground festival that sold out. This was always we want to hit the mainstream market of people who like punk music, but they're not going in hardcore. Look, you got Pennywise on here. That's covered. But they're not going in for the hardcore. They want the mainstream audience who likes these subgenres. And they've covered it well, and they've thrown in a couple of like, you know what? We'll bring Behemoth, we'll bring Sepultura, we'll bring Slaughter to Prevail, we'll bring Boom Crash Opera, because they're all the niches of metal that we love.
They definitely are. And I mean, you do have a lot more of those sort of mainstream, more metal bands like While She Sleeps, Make Them Suffer, even Enter Shikari to some extent as well.
I Prevail.
I Prevail, exactly. You've got a lot there to cover, a lot of different things. I guess seeing sort of the top of the lineup, it makes more sense going back to other years and going, okay, cool. It was actually more pop punk heavy at the top of the card. And that's what it is this year. And I think people are going into it with the mindset that 2022 is the standard of what Good Things is. Whereas realistically, that was more the anomaly. That was like the exception to the rule. And this is more consistent with previous Good Things lineups. And maybe they needed to do that exception to get people out of the house and back to a festival after COVID. And this is it going back to sort of the more baseline. And don't get me wrong, this is a good card. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but there's some solid stuff here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I said. And it's just one of those things is when people complain that, you know, a lot of metal gatekeepers hate Limp Bizkit. Trust me, metal gatekeepers do not hate Sepultura. So there's something for that person as well. This is not a bad card. And if you did like last year with all like the Bring Me the Horizon, the Polaris, the Electric Callboy bands, give While She Sleeps a go. If you've never heard them before, they definitely fall in that genre. So do Make Them Suffer. Terrific Aussie band. Don't overlook the small names on this card. Electric Callboy was a small name on this card. Sabaton, before they updated the poster, was a small name on this card.
Yeah.
And they had some of the biggest crowds. It's just, there's a lot of time to go around at Good Things. There's not 15-minute sets. It's very rare anyone gets under half an hour. So you're going to get some time with one of these bands, and you might get lucky. You might see one of these bands here before they blow up, and next time they come down, their ticket prices cost double what they normally would. And you're like, oh, there's too many people there. It doesn't feel intimate anymore. So
I think that's like one of the great things about festivals as well. Like I said, I had the first festival I went to was Good Things 2022, and I had heard of Ginger, but hadn't heard Ginger. Seeing that set live and just seeing what an amazing frontwoman Tatiana is, going into that, I had this tiny little speck of an idea of, okay, cool, yeah, Ginger, they're a pretty heavy band. And coming out of it, I was absolutely blown away. So even if you have a bunch of these bands on here that you don't know, like your While She Sleeps, you'll Make Them Suffer if you haven't heard of them, or even like somebody like Spiderbait. Spiderbait, an Aussie rock industry or icon at this point. And you're going to have fun if you go and see Spiderbait. Like that's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So I think giving it a chance and just going to experience the fun of the day will be good, regardless of the lineup. Like, yeah, you're not going to have every flavor of ice cream to please everybody at once, but there's going to be something for everybody.
And that's what people forget at the end of the day. And that's what I went over to Wacken earlier this year, and everyone says about European festivals or festivals in Europe. They just go, I don't care who's playing. I'll buy a ticket. I'm sure I'll like a band once I see them live. It's about being in the atmosphere and with the people. It's not just about the bands. It's about the times in between the bands. It's about seeing the guy dressed as Jesus, crowd surfing through the crowd. It's about Gandalf randomly standing in front of you and going, you shall not pass. It's about everyone just dressing up and being the unique individual they can't be every day of their life. They get to kind of just let loose. Yeah. It's just one of those things. And look, everyone's going to whinge. We will never stop someone whinging. No one is ever going to have a perfect festival, except for me. Not Festival's almost damn well perfect for me. No one's going to have the perfect lineup or get everyone they desire. There are some good bands on this list. Unfortunately, maybe they weren't some of your favorites and you loved everyone last year, but you're lucky. You got them all last year. Someone this year is getting all the bands they want. So it's not necessarily fair just to go, no, this sucks. It's pretty on par for what they bring out. It's just maybe it's not your cup of tea this year.
And that's fine. You don't have to like everything and you don't have to go to every show. I'm sure there'll be some great side shows. I know myself, I would really love. Could you imagine like Bullet for My Valentine or I Prevail with Behemoth and Slaughter to Prevail? Like that would be a fantastic show. Doing something like that at the Factory Theatre or the Metro, I would absolutely love that.
Exactly.
So,
and I'm sure Corey Taylor might do a side show as well, and you'll get to hear your Slipknot favorites, some of his own solo stuff, and the Stone Sour stuff. Stone Sour, frankly, is just not around anymore, and he plays a bunch of those songs live. So
that's true.
It's a lot of fun. Look, Drew, this has been fantastic. I don't know if I've changed your mind on you coming to the festival, but I hope I've kind of shut down that instant, this isn't a good lineup.
I really think you have. When you sit down and actually consider it, like it's all well and good to have that instant reaction of like, oh no, this festival's a bit shit because it's not what I want. But when you actually sit down, look at it, analyze it, see the different Good Things lineups, you really do see that one, it fits the pattern, and two, it's still a festival. You're still going to go. You're still going to have fun. You might see some bands that you never thought you would like, and you might see some bands that you go, okay, cool, I didn't really care for that show. But there'll probably be a lot of bands that you go in and go, cool, I never thought I would see Eskimo Joe live, but they actually rocked.
Yeah, I remember. Look at me. I was in high school in the 2000s. Never saw them live, but if I walk past and they play Black Fingernails, Red Wine, I'm going to go back to my teenage years. It's
100%
going to blow me away. Like, I think it's going to be good. And look, guys, this is our first episode of this kind of vlog, podcast, what have you. We're going to be doing a ton on this. I didn't want to give away all the secrets. There's going to be some fun things, but let's just say, I know some people like tier lists. We're not going to ignore that. We've got something else in mind. We're not going to ignore that. And there's going to be plenty more to discuss. Whatever comes down and fills that March slot next year, my guess is Download. I know a lot of people reckon Knotfest too. I think it's going to be Download.
I think it's going to be Download, and I think we're going to have a lot to discuss when that comes out.
But until then, I've been Jaimunji. That man has been Drew. And you've been watching Metal Roos.